What is happening, Gothamites? K-Wing here, and we have a ton to go over tonight. Holy crap, you have no idea. The stream was delayed because there was some new information that dropped in my lap. I had to read through some emails, some other publications came forward, talked about some more stuff about this Keaton thing that sounds like it's going full steam ahead, and some of it's good, not gonna lie. Some of it you guys are gonna hate. So... I'm a fan of the 89 Batman, so I'm all for the Burton-verse being rolled more into the DC cinematic multiverse, as we're going to learn as August rolls around. But as for how do I explain this? As for a full-on adaptation of Flashpoint with Jeffrey Morgan, yeah, that's not happening. Grace reported on this earlier tonight, and there's another publication that is going to be dropping this story tomorrow. So it sounds like Jeffrey Dean Morgan is out. But again, these are just two people, so it's not finalized yet. But the reason why they started to speak with Keaton is because they want the star power that Keaton can bring to the table. And Keaton was actually interested in the supporting role that Ben Affleck passed on for his Batman. Now, remember a couple years ago when Ben was still the Dark Knight, and yeah, that's not really going to change. He's going to come back and do some stuff for the Snyder Cut, or the Snyder, what do you call it, miniseries or whatever. But as for him, like, doing that Deathstroke movie, the Arkham thing, yeah, I don't see that happening as a miniseries. They could still do the Deathstroke miniseries on HBO Max and maybe have Affleck use some of his footage where he fought Deathstroke or something. I don't know. But I don't think Affleck's going to come back. AT&T is heavily pursuing him, but it sounds like he's not ready to budge except for, completing his arc. And by completing his arc, that means dying in Justice League, the Snyder Cut. And that was always the plan, actually. I know this is very spoiler-heavy. I tend to do that if you guys are new to my podcast. But the reason why Ben Affleck signed on to be Batman, as many of you guys know, because we have talked about this for the past couple of years, is he planned a tragic beginning for the character that you saw in BVS, kind of a little bit of a redemption arc by putting together the Justice League, and then throughout the other two Justice League movies, 3 in total. In the third one, he would die protecting Lois Lane from Darkseid, and of course being killed in a heroic way. So it sounds like that is still kind of what they're going to be doing with Ben's character in the Justice League thing, although it could change dramatically because that was a 3-picture deal. What we could be getting now is, in order for Ben Affleck to do stuff, the Justice League would probably all bite it, fighting Darkseid, and Batman would send Flash back in time, starting the whole Flashpoint thing, with some key differences. Now, if you guys have been paying attention to the CW, Ezra Miller and some other people have kind of been giving you a hint about what is going on with the Flashpoint movie. For instance, it's not being called Flashpoint anymore. I know I'm a little bummed about that. You guys are probably like, no Thomas Wayne, no Flashpoint, what? Why? Well, you can blame Ezra Miller for that. So, he had this kooky idea a couple years ago that they were going to incorporate some of the things from Flashpoint, right? But at the same time, they wanted to bring in that multiverse effect. And this is where Keaton comes in. So, apparently Keaton and his team, for the past 2 days now, have been in very thick discussions with AT&T and Warner Bros. Like, real big. He's interested. He likes the idea of the supporting role. He loves the idea of not putting on the suit. That is something that people have not been talking about. He is not putting on the suit. He hates the suit. The suit made him claustrophobic. So, if you're thinking about getting Keaton back in the black suit, no. You'll see his costume on display, probably. But as for him actually donning the suit, If you want a theatrical Batman that does a lot of cool stunts and action and stuff like that, then you're going to want to watch the Battinson character, because that's where all that Batman action is going to be coming from. Keaton is going to be doing the supporting role that, like I said, Affleck was supposed to do. So before Justice League fell apart and Whedon came on, Ben Affleck was going to be appearing in subsequent DC films as kind of like a supporting role, which that supporting role is now being divided up between two candidates. Henry Cavill's Superman, like showing up in people's DC movies, and now Keaton. So which person do you think is going to get this? Cavill or will be Keaton? Now, Cavill is awesome, and he's got that whole Witcher thing, but you can't really stand up to Keaton's magnetism right now. I mean, just the idea of him possibly coming back to the DC films is causing the internet to just come to a standstill. Everybody's talking about this. My email is going crazy. My phone has so many notifications, and I thought I had notifications off my phone, but I've got text messages and emails all about this Keaton thing blowing up. I got hundreds of people asking me what's going on with this. What were the talks about? I don't know what all the talks are about. I have a couple emails of a little bit of synopsis, which I believe you've heard other people talk about today, so there's really no point going in all that, other than, of course, the supporting roles. Batgirl was brought up, which a lot of people are like, wait a second, Batgirl? What's going on with Batgirl? I thought Batgirl was canceled. No, Batgirl was just kind of shelved a little bit with the Deathstroke and a couple other movies. It wasn't officially canceled. The Nightwing movie is more in danger of being canceled now that the Snyder Cut is happening because, as David Ayer and Zack Snyder said, the dead Robin is Dick Grayson. And, well, because of that, it caused a lot of problems for, we'll say, the cinematic universe as a whole. Because as we've talked about, Zack was not trying to make a cinematic extended universe for a long jaunt of time. He was making a Lord of the Rings film. Several films, like a saga, with a clear opening, Man of Steel, and an ending, Justice League Part 3, with the death of Batman. And it sounds like he's going to try to do that with his miniseries, because he's got a lot of footage to go through. Mostly Justice League Part 1 and 2, but we'll talk about that again a little bit. I don't want to get too much into the whole Justice League Parts 1, 2, and 3, because it just... I did that before, and it went into a 2-hour discussion, and tonight is all about Keaton. So we're donning the Keaton costume, so it's all about this man. So we're going to keep it to that. Oh, my goodness. I still can't believe all this is happening. Tonight was actually supposed to be the start of my Arkham series. Okay, that's fun. That's from my other channel. I could turn it off, but I'm kind of lazy. We're going to turn it off anyway. Okay. So tonight was going to be the start of the Arkham series using the Affleck suit, which is what I believe I polled you guys on a while ago is what you wanted to see. So we were going to play through the entire game again for the 5th anniversary, and that'll start tomorrow night now. So that'll start the day the game came out. It's just all this stuff has to be gone over now because it's just like whoosh. It's too much. It's way too much. Oh, my goodness. All right, so Flashpoint has changed dramatically. So how they were going to go about this originally with the Snyder's Cut, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan was speaking to DC, I believe at the end of last week, is when he was in Circle Talks, I believe is what they say. Things were going really, really well. And somehow Keaton's name got brought up, and Keaton was like, I'll look at it. And he was like, okay, I got a couple provisions for you. For one thing, I don't like this Thomas Wayne character. I'm Batman. I'm just paraphrasing. I don't know if Keaton said this, but I can just picture the eyebrows like being in talks, like on that social distancing thing. His eyebrows raised, being like, "Hey, pal, okay, this Thomas Wayne character, no, that's not Batman. I'm Batman. So here's what we're gonna do. I like where you're going with this multiverse thing, and I like my Batman, just Batman and Batman Returns. I didn't do that other movie. I walked out of that one because it was garbage. It was done. Burton wasn't a part of it. I wasn't a part of it. Nah, no good. So we're going to use my 2 movies and pick up 30 years later, okay? And then you get this kid who, what? He runs real fast, speedster, Flash, what? Okay, yeah, okay. So you got the kid, he comes to my universe, all right? I'm already a crazy Batman. I kill people, no problem, right? I'm retired, though. I'm not putting on the monkey suit anymore. Yeah, you could put an air conditioner in it. You could give me as much money as you want. I'm not wearing that thing. So he's retired. He's older. A lot of crazy stuff happened in my universe, and the fans are going to want to know what's going on. So it's my Batman with this red kid in the spandex, and we're going to do some crazy stuff. So that's what people have been hearing from Keaton, is he's on board with this, he likes this, but at the same time, he doesn't want to be too heavily invested with other DC projects. So he likes the idea of being that kind of Nick Fury character, which I'm trying to remember the publication that brought it up. It was either IGN, Hollywood Reporter, or the Warp or the Wrap, I forget, one or the other, talked about how they like the idea of doing the what do you call that, supporting role, the cameo thing, throughout many different DC films. And this whole idea was brought up with Affleck first, because he didn't want to do a lot of stuff. He had a 6-picture deal, and one of those was the Batman, which where he was going to fight Deathstroke, a continuation from the first Justice League movie. Then Justice League Parts 2 and 3. So that would have been, let's see, BVS, that's 1. Justice League is 2. Suicide Squad counted as 3, which people are kind of arguing about, but that was 3. Then you would have had the Batman, Justice League 2, and then Justice League Part 3. So that's 6 movies right there. So Keaton likes the idea of doing multiple cameos as his Batman Bruce Wayne. Now, how his Batman Bruce Wayne becomes the older Batman Bruce Wayne that was Affleck, I have no idea. I don't know how they're going to do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's really weird. My idea, okay, my idea was more interesting and made sense if Jeffrey Dean Morgan was still involved, which he still could be. There's only 2 people saying he's not. Grace made a video just a little while ago, and Grace has a lot of pull in the film industry, let me tell you. Grace is scary. And that publication that's going to post their story tomorrow, which I can't say who it is. But you got 2 people essentially saying the same thing, which could hold a lot of weight, or it might be bumpkiss. I don't know. But their thing is really weird, and I could talk about Grace's multiverse theory, which is dumb, or I could tell you how I thought this was going to go, because it's pretty interesting. As a Batman guy, as a comic book dude, I can make this sound interesting and sell it to you, even though it's never going to happen. So let's talk about how this all transpires, okay? So how I originally thought this was going to go, based on things I've heard over the past year or so, and back when Snyder was still around, before the Snyder Cut actually officially got revealed, is they were going to have all the Justice League members except for Batman, Cyborg, and Flash die fighting Darkseid. When they were going back in time, there was going to be some problems, which is how Flash ends up talking to himself in the CW, supposedly, and how he ends up resetting everything again when he's running throughout the Speed Force or whatever. And he ends up thinking that he said everything right, but he creates the Jeffrey Dean Morgan Flashpoint Batman. And of course, Flashpoint rolls out the same way it was. You would have an evil Wonder Woman, evil Aquaman going to war, doing all that crazy stuff, right? And there would be a Reverse Flash. I believe Reverse Flash is still being considered for the Flashpoint movie. He was in the original draft before they scrapped that. And I believe he's still part of the Multiverse plan, unless they scrap that and they're just doing crazy antics with Multiverse Keaton and Ezra Miller. I don't know. It's only in the second day of discussions between Keaton and AT&T, so it could go anywhere. Like, Keaton could say no, and then they have to go back to the Jeffrey Dean Morgan thing, which I like better, but I'll explain how the Keaton thing could work. So Flashpoint goes the way that you would consider, right? Everything happens. Barry is, trying to get back to his world where Affleck is Batman and Cavill is Superman and Godot and all, Godot, all these other people. They're doing their thing, right? When he runs back and thinks he resets everything, and he was successful in saving the multiverse or the, Flashpoint, and he still has to warn everybody about Darkseid, but he got a letter from Thomas Wayne to give to Bruce. So he's back in the Batcave. Everything looks mostly normal, except there's some key differences. The cave looks a little retro, we'll say. Looks a bit different. So he's calling out for Bruce, because, he's supposed to be like the mentor figure, right? For the Flash, is how they were going about in both Snyder's vision, except Whedon took that a step way too far and did full-blown Batboy with Flash. Kind of like what Tony Stark did to Spider-Man, creating Spider-Boy. So anyway, my idea and how I've heard it is he's running around calling out for Bruce, thinking Ben Affleck's going to show up, and the person who turns around in the chair is Keaton, and then nothing. It's just, that's how the movie ends. And then that sets up Keaton, how he's going to do stuff throughout his other appearances in the DC films. Hi, sweetie. So that's how you could make sense of that. But now with Jeffrey off the board, potentially, well, it gets kind of crazy because tonight I thought I was going to get to talk to you more detail about what the fans really want with Flashpoint, which is basically a faithful adaptation of the comic with some key differences. Barry was not running back in the past to save his mother from dying. He was going back in the past to warn the Justice League about Darkseid's invasion, which would tie it back to the Snyder Cut miniseries or whatever you want to call it. And you're going to get more of that time travel and, we'll say, Injustice World vibe when Zack releases his trailer and talks more about the movie August 22nd. I don't know what time. I just know that there is a trailer of decent length coming August 22nd. And there is going to be more of the Nightmare Batman, Nightmare Earth, which Nightmare Earth is Earth in the future after Darkseid wrecks everybody and essentially transforms it into Apocalypse. So when you saw those visions of everything with the dirt and the red skies on Earth and Superman was turned evil and all that other stuff, yeah. That's all still happening in Snyder's thing. As for how it's going to connect to the other DC movies, if at all, nobody knows. But it was going to somewhat connect to Flashpoint. And the reason why I'm saying it was connected to Flashpoint is 2 days before Keaton was speaking to AT&T and Warner, Zack Snyder on that one, not Twitter, his other social media thing, heard reports or saw something where Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in conversation with AT&T to be Flashpoint Batman. He liked and retweeted that article. So that, to me, gave it a lot of weight, like this was going to be connected to his story, his vision. But now, with Keaton involved, well, everything's... because Keaton doesn't want to do that. Keaton doesn't want to be the old Bruce Wayne at the end of the movie. He doesn't really understand who Thomas Wayne is. He doesn't... his Batman is Batman. There was no other... His dad died in an alley, So trying to explain to Keaton what is going on with Thomas Wayne... Either they didn't explain it to him right, or he just never cared anyway, and he's just like, no. My Batman kills people, we're fine. So, Red Kid comes, we do some stuff, we're in my universe, we're in Burton-verse, we get Tim involved. Fire that other guy, I don't want to work, who's doing the Flash movie? No. We'll get Burton involved, which please God no. That would be crazy. But I can just see Keaton doing all this kind of stuff, because he and Tim are tight. And he loved his crazy vision of the Batman and Batman Returns. And I love the idea of the movie taking place, 30 years after those events. I think you could still do that, maybe, but I don't know how receptive the audience would be. So this is what Grace said. Grace said that it was going to be the Burton-verse with the Flash and Reverse Flash and somebody else running around 30 years after Batman Returns. And Keaton would be retired, and somehow he would end up going back with Flash throughout the multiverse to where the current DC cinematic universe, and that's where Grace lost me. I was just kind of like, what? I'm doing the Keaton eyebrows here. I'm like, what? No, that doesn't make any sense. You don't, for Flashpoint to work and Batman to be recast, or Bruce Wayne and that whole older Bruce Wayne mechanic to work, you need an older Bruce Wayne, and you can't. Affleck's done. So the thing that I liked, which was kind of cool, where, Flash shows up, he's going to deliver the letter to Bruce, he's looking for an older Bruce who was his mentor, but the guy who's there in the chair is Keaton. So it's still kind of like the stuff happened, except Keaton would be like 20 years older than that version of Batman. which could give you possibilities of a Batman Beyond thing in the future or whatever, but it also lets Keaton stay on as a mentor for that universe because Ben, whether you people like it or not, in the Snyder universe, he's the leader of the Justice League. You know, Bruce Wayne is a very core component of the Justice League from BVS through Justice League, through Snyder's vision, and what Warner Bros. Had detailed. And then when he died in Justice League Part 3, that was the end of Batman's story, and there was no one to take over the mantle for him except for Superman and Lois' son, Jonathan, which is another crazy Snyder thing. Because Dick Grayson is dead, it messed everything up. It made Chris McKay go AWOL, and Nightwing fans have just been kind of like eating their hat, like where are they going with this? So I love Zack, but I hate him when it comes to what he did with Dick because it just ruins the whole continuity thing of the future. But there's some cool things about this, okay? Flashpoint resets things and changes things as well. So if this is true, this has me excited. If the Keaton thing pans out, Keaton wants to do something Bat Family related. He's already expressed interest in Batgirl, being the mentor for Batgirl, and he knows about Robin. He knows about other Bat Family members because Dick Grayson was supposed to be in both his movies, but they moved him to Batman Forever, so he knew about Grayson. There's a lot of possibilities, like you could do kind of a Batman Beyond thing with Barbara Gordon, or you could do it with Dick Grayson. Because my understanding from things that I've learned, and things people have told me, and things I've read, and different reporters have said this, and different film people have said that, when they go through Flashpoint, some of the dead characters that were gone in the Snyderverse that they want to build up those characters for future movies, like Nightwing, for instance, who's dead and gone in the current Snyderverse. Like, until that miniseries is over and Flashpoint happens in 2022, you could easily resurrect Jimmy Olsen or Nightwing just like that. You don't need an explanation because while they died in that universe, that's true, you've already gone past and came back to this universe after the Flashpoint incident or whatever, Multiverse Adventures with Keaton, and you've got a new, older Batman, much older, much older. Instead of him being 50s, he's pushing 70s now. You know, but hey, Nightwing's alive. Batgirl's alive again. You know, there's a lot they can play around with this if Keaton says yes. But some people need to be there with Keaton and kind of have to be like, hey, Mr. Keaton, love your work. You are Batman. I'm Batman. But I don't think we want to go through a romp in Burton-verse. We want you to be older Batman when Ezra gets back. So you have a role in the movie, but it's not the role you're thinking of because A needs to happen before B. Okay? But after B, then you can do all this, and you'll still be a part of this, and you won't have to wear the suit. And then Keaton, I'm just thinking Keaton would be like, okay, I get it. I'm good. Let's do this, you know? That would be great. But part of me thinks Keaton's just kind of wacky, and he wants to do like this crazy buddy cop thing back in his universe 30 years later that will now officially be connected. No matter what happens to the DC Multiverse idea, Keaton's Batman most likely is going to be part of this DC canon. Like, fully. Everything that happened in the 80s when I was a kid, watching that guy on screen right there, is all going to be connected to Snyder's universe. The craziest thing about all this is they're saying that there are two Justice League universes in this multiverse. You got Justice League, which you guys saw in theaters, as a part of the multiverse, and then you got the Snyder Cut, which is a continuation of the canon that is also a part of the multiverse that leads into Flashpoint that gives us Keaton Batman in the future as older Bruce Wayne by 20 years. I don't know how they're going to do it. It makes a lot more sense than Burton universe, but I don't know. I mean, I'm on board with it. I just don't know how they're going to make sense of everything. So, I think it's cool, though. I think it's awesome that as soon as I saw some of that news, because how I understood it this morning, my contact was like, hey, Luke, I know you've been kind of down with like all the crazy stuff that's been happening, but there's a lot of cool Batman news that's going to drop this week. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like what? He's like, game related and movie related and TV show and all this other stuff. And TV show, they mean like cartoons, like direct to DVD stuff. Like that Deathstroke thing just was released on Blu-ray and DVD without anybody really knowing about it. So you guys can check that out. It's called like Deathstroke, something Dragon or another. I think that's what he was talking about. Or they. I have to be vague about some of this, but a couple hours beforehand, I did a little teaser tweet. Like, there's some crazy stuff that's going to happen in regards to the Batman game and Batman movies and stuff. And then on different forum sites, they were talking about how people know the name of the game and they want to leak images and the title and stuff like that. And so I got kind of annoyed, and I tweeted another tweet saying, I don't think it would be a good idea, because Warner Brothers is not in the best mood right now to go ahead and spoil the fun when they had this big event planned, because San Diego Comic-Con and E3 were canceled. So this August thing is really big and important for DC. So I think it would be a good idea not to ruin the surprise that they have planned, because we don't want to do anything to upset them to the point where they're like, okay, scrap the Batman game. Or, these stupid fools just make so much noise and problems that we're not going to give it to them. We're going to give them a Suicide Squad game or Arrow game. That'll show them. Put Batman back in the vault. So, I mean, I don't want anybody doing anything stupid. And if anybody was thinking about leaking those blurred images that technically are official, but they look horrible, that is not going to be the first image of the brand new Batman game I see. It better not be. It better not be. Just be patient. There's so much Batman stuff going on between now and 2022 that you guys are going to have your minds blown. I had my mind blown this morning a little bit. And all the emails and all this other stuff is just, my head is just, I'm kind of like a Walking Dead zombie right now, because I can't comprehend all the stuff that's been happening. It's too much. It's too much. I'm just kind of like, way too much stuff. And if they do, I'm not saying they are tomorrow, because there's some people misquoting me saying, oh, on the anniversary of the 5-year Batman thing, they're going to announce the new game. Probably not. But the leakers were planning on doing some pretty cool stuff, but hopefully I gave WB Games enough heads up and they'll go get those people or something. I wouldn't say whistleblower, I just let WB Games know, hey, there's people talking about how they have your leaked stuff. Go get them. Very, publicly I did it, and I didn't name names or forum sites or anything like that. I just kind of said, this could be happening. Make sure it doesn't. And maybe provoke them into releasing something early that is official, that we can, be like, oh, pretty. Or awesome, because I hate when people leak game information and that game's thunder gets stolen a little bit by blurry images and, really bad trailers. It just kind of ruins it a little bit for me. It's just kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I know it's coming now, but I think it would have been a much bigger moment when they officially do it. So I'm hoping that's what we're going to get, but you never know in this industry. You really don't. And people are very impatient. They're very angry. It's been 5 years. And, when people are stirred up so much, eventually they pop. So you never know what's going to happen this week, next week, before the event. I don't know. But I definitely wanted to run with that whole DC thing, because I think that's pretty awesome. I love the idea of Keaton being a mentor figure. I don't like the idea of him being the Batman that replaces Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I think that we need Keaton as the future Bruce Wayne at the end of Flashpoint. And we need to let Jeffrey Dean Morgan do his thing, because he loves Flashpoint. It would be a faithful adaptation. He'd do a great job. You can incorporate some of the elements of the book while changing it up a little bit, doing some multiverse hopping if you want to. But if you kept to that core, I think it'd be a fantastic movie. If you do the thing that a few people are reporting, that he is going to be hanging out with the Flash and doing some crazy stuff in his Gotham when he's not even Batman anymore, yeah, I think people are not going to be totally on board. It'll take away from them awesome Keaton hype of all these other movies that he's going to appear in, kind of like Flash drags him from the Burton universe and brings him back to the DC cinematic universe, where you have two Bruces walking around, And then you have no way of explaining what's going to happen to Ben Affleck, because Ben Affleck wants out. He wants a full closure to his story, which he's getting. That's why he's happy. He's in the gym. He's doing his stuff. He's thinking, yeah, I finally get to show my ending to my Batman that Zack and I created, that we worked so hard for. We get to finish it. And then you got people thinking, but wait a minute, how is that going to work if there are two Bruce Waynes walking around? You got kind of senile Michael Keaton, hey pal, walking around Ben Affleck's Gotham. No, it can't be that. He has to become that Bruce Wayne through time travel shenanigans. That's the only way it's going to work. And if he's not on board for that, then just forget the whole idea. Just do something completely different. I love Keaton. I love him as Batman. I think it would be fantastic to have him back. But I don't want a comedy. I don't want a weird buddy cop thing. Save that for the HBO series for Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. That'll work. That'll be great. Sci-fi stuff. The older Jon Stewart is older. Think like Diggle. And then you get kind of this hotshot kid, Hal Jordan, and they have these zany adventures together as space cops. It sounds like a lot of fun, and was one of the drafts that they were working on at one point. So, you know, but to do that with one of the most iconic film Batman of all time, I just, no. So that's why I was late tonight. Originally, I was just going to lead with the whole, you know, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is back, because I even put him on the thumbnail. I didn't have time to change the thumbnail because it sounds like he's out now, because Keaton doesn't want him. And he doesn't want Affleck either. So, I don't know. I don't know, people. I'm nervous, but I'm excited at the same time because I think it'd be great, but I think it'll be great if Keaton has some direction, because he's been away from this game for a long time. He's been dangling over in the MCU, and the MCU, you know, it was a little weird. He did some pretty weird stuff over there. I liked him as the Vulture, but he kind of felt like he was playing a Batman Vulture a little bit, you know? And I love the fact that he's always been up to the idea of him coming back, but there was a lot of provisions involved with that. Before, he said he would only come back if Tim was involved. He always said that. Every time I heard him talk about it at conventions, or, like, you know, whenever somebody brought up the idea of Batman for him, he's like, as long as Tim's in it, yeah. He says, and the script's good, I'm good. If it's anything like Batman Forever, forget about it. He's like, no. Batman 3 is what he calls it. He doesn't call it Batman Forever. He says Batman 3. If it's anything like Batman 3, it's going to be bleep. is what he would say. But yeah, I don't know. So apologies for being late, but that's all the craziness that happened. And afterwards, I needed some time to digest what was going on, because I was so excited talking to my wife about Keaton coming back, and how I explained it to her. It sounded really cool, because that's how it was explained to me, and now it's all not how it's supposed to be. It's just, I don't want to see Burton Batman's Gotham 30 years later, because I don't think it would work without someone running around in the bat suit, and it certainly won't work with Ezra Miller showing up. Now, one person brought up an interesting thought, like a reporter on Twitter today who was talking about this. I'm not going to say their name because I don't know them that well. But they were mentioning how Keaton could still have his cameo roles in future movies and things like that when Flashpoint resets something, and then Bruce has that new look to him. Like, it's still Ben Affleck. It's Ben Affleck aged like 20 years or something. But they said, what if the Flash multiverse is kind of a celebration of all kinds of multiverse shenanigans? Like, Flash could end up in the Burton universe and run into an older Keaton. He could run into a Brandon Routh Superman. He could do all this, like, cool cameos and somehow save the multiverse and make it back to his universe, but he made some goofs along the way, which still brings you back to Warner Brothers' original vision of having Keaton being that guy in the chair at the end, for that sentimental moment where Flash essentially is kind of like Hermes. He gives the letter from Thomas Wayne to Bruce. So that can all kind of still work, and I like that person's idea, but I just don't know I mean, Brandon Routh would be on board, but I don't think the original Wonder Woman or some of these other past DC actors would really want to do something like that. Maybe they would. I don't know. But I think it ends up becoming too campy, and you need a decent tone like Shazam. Shazam had both a light and dark tone to it. This Flashpoint movie either needs to be fully toned like the Snyder movie, and then kind of like over time in the movie, it moves toward their new direction to set up their new DC universe. It can't be like half campy, half dark, like going back and forth between different DC universes. That would just be jarring and weird, and it would almost be the problem that you had with the Justice League movie, where you had Whedon stuff and Snyder stuff competing back and forth like a tennis match. It just didn't work. You know? So they need to figure this out. The Keaton stuff is very exciting, and if it's utilized well, it'll be awesome. Because Keaton is going to put butts in the seat. But if you mess it up somehow, not only are you going to smear Keaton's reputation, because you will combine what was iconic into this mess of DC, Justice League multiverse, whatever. You want to bring this universe into something that is going to be good, and something that is going to make sense, and audience that are both comic book related and Keaton fans and DC fans, we can all come together and have something to enjoy. If it's just something that AT&T is thinking, we're just going to go back to the Burton universe, that's not what people want. The only way that we want you to go back to the Burton universe is if you're giving us Batman Beyond. Futuristic Burton Batman Beyond, yes. Anything other than that, no. Especially if we're not getting him in the suit. Because it just doesn't work. Nobody wants to see Bruce Wayne running around his gothic architecture of Burton's, amazingness, running errands because he doesn't have Alfred or anybody anymore. Nobody wants to see eccentric Bruce Wayne just not doing anything. That sounds like Multiplicity Bruce Wayne the movie or something, or one of his other strange things like Frost. I don't know. That scares me. That really does. So I had the good news to report, and then the news got weird. So I don't know. So
basically what you're saying is Keaton could ruin this for everybody.
Keaton could ruin this for everyone. Yes.
If he gets... The thing is, because he's so important to this, because people are so waiting for him to come back, the problem is if he doesn't really understand what the character is now. When he first did Batman, he was able to do it darker than people were used to on film. Mm-hmm. So, but he did it so overacted and so dramatic because it was, the 80s, so... If he does that now,
it's gonna look really
it's gonna
corny.
Look really terrible. Mm-hmm. It will just look horrible. It was very artistic then, and it was so different. But now it's if he does that now, it will just look bad.
Every report is saying that he's not coming back as Batman, though. He's coming back as older Bruce Wayne. And whenever people bring up Batman Beyond to him, he's like, huh?
I feel like the only reason he doesn't want to be Batman.
I'm Batman.
He doesn't want to wear the suit.
I'm Batman.
He doesn't like the suit. He's claustrophobic. So
he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. He has nightmares of the suit.
He wants to be Batman. Why don't they just put a CGI suit on him?
No. Did you forget what happened when they put the mustache on Henry Cavill? CGI, nothing works for DC. Okay, Green Lantern suit, mustache. We are not putting a CGI bat costume on an almost 70-year-old Michael Keaton. No, get that. And gosh, if there's anybody at Warner Bros. Pictures listening to this, take that idea and throw it away in the very recess of your mind and burn it. Burn it!
I feel like people are going to be too nervous to stand up to Keaton and be like, if he's like, no, I don't want this. I need more giant statues. I need more penguins biting people's noses, and people will be like, we can't really do that right now, Keaton, because I think there's nobody that can stand up to him. He's like a king, basically. He's like the king of Batman. You can't tell him
hail to the king.
No,
yep.
like, no, no, and everyone will be like, no, okay, fine. You know what? We'll make it a not Timverse, Burton.
It's Burton-verse, yeah.
It's like, I am worried that people will not.
So,
I would be afraid to stand up to him, especially if he did his eyebrow
thing.
Do
you want to know why AT&T is pursuing this like Burton like celebration thing?
Because they want money.
They want to bring in people who really love the Batman movie, like Keaton Batman. Everybody sees Keaton Batman as the most iconic film Batman, and they're probably not wrong about it. I also really, really love Keaton's version of Batman. I do. I like elements of Bale's Batman, and I like elements of Affleck, but I really, really like Keaton's because he is the original creation of Batman. What Kane and Finger created, that's him. That's that Batman. Occasionally, he's the most human out of all of them, and that's why he would work in this universe, because Ben Affleck was not playing a human version of Batman. He was playing a monster version of Batman who had his son killed, all his friends wiped out, except for Gordon, who was brought back by Whedon. Gordon was not going to be in Snyder's, so he's probably dead again. So, just heads up, people, if you think, oh, Commissioner Gordon's going to show up again. No, that casting was not, that wasn't Zach, that was Whedon. Just like Lex Luthor's yacht scene was Whedon, that wasn't what happened. Lex Luthor goes kind of crazy. He didn't look crazy on the yacht. He looked like, oh, we're going to start our own Injustice League. Nope, that's all Whedon. Snyder had, the last time you saw Lex was going, ring, 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 ring. He was going to become a pawn of Darkseid, or kind of like an envoy of Darkseid in the Justice League movie. He's kind of like how Darkseid is able to get back to Earth, like somehow using Lex. So Deathstroke is brought in to take Lex violently out of Arkham, which was going to be your warehouse scene in Justice League. You were supposed to have a warehouse scene in Justice League. It was too violent. It was cut. It's probably going to show up in the Snyder miniseries or 4-hour movie or whatever. Because it was filmed. The actor who played Deathstroke, he filmed it, said it was awesome, and was very surprised to see that he was added at the very end of the movie. Because it was supposed to be a more dramatic ending to Justice League. And nobody got that. You didn't get the Darkseid reveal. You didn't get the Deathstroke breaking into Arkham, fighting Batman. None of that. None of that. It was all thrown out to keep that 2-hour thing, and also to keep the movie, viewing for all ages.
More campy.
It was a movie that anybody could see, the Justice League movie. This was going to be kind of bordering an R rating, because they really stepped up the warehouse scene for Deathstroke. Deathstroke had swords and guns and bombs. So use your imagination. What happens when he's going into Arkham? It's not a pleasant, oh, I'm just visiting Lex type of thing. Nope. He's extracting Lex, and there are going to be bodies in his wake.
It feels like the Whedon and Snyder films combined was kind of like the idea if you combine a Lego Batman movie with an Arkham Batman movie together. It was like completely two different. Yeah, it was pretty. It was like 90 difference.
Yeah, it's very different. Oh my goodness.
I guess we'll just see what happens, but
I don't know. I'm concerned about it. I think there's fun ways they could do it.
I'm concerned. I don't think that Keaton understands. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think.
But the talks are going really, really well, so I mean that's good. But I would like Jeffrey Dean Morgan to still be able to be Flashpoint Batman, because that's what the fans really want. They really want to see that, and they would love for that twist at the end to be like, Ben Affleck is still there, but now he's Keaton, and he's much, much older. So what are they going to do without Batman? They still have Batman, but he's not really able to go out and do that thing anymore.
No matter what happens, though, Affleck will be able to finish his version of Batman.
Yeah,
right?
No matter what happens, Affleck should be able to have a satisfying ending to his Batman, and a clear, like, this is how his Batman ended. Is it going to be the same thing where he gets killed by Darkseid protecting Lois? Probably a rushed version of it. Lois was pregnant and giving birth, and he, walked in front and saved Jonathan. This is going to be a heavily spearheaded version. Like, they had 3 movies to tell the story. I don't think they're ever going to go to Apocalypse in Snyder's thing. I think Darkseid is going to come to Earth, fight them, kick their butts. Batman, Superman, Flash, and Cyborg will be the only survivors. Superman's going to get tortured and poisoned with kryptonite and become like the Injustice Superman. Lois is going to die. A lot of Justice Leaguers are going to die. And then over those many, many years, they develop the Cosmic Treadmill, and the movie will end with the Flash going back in time to try to set things right. And you'll never see, in its entirety, Snyder's universe ever again. Like that. There will be elements that will pop up, and they'll probably fight Darkseid again in the future in something else. Or if the Snyder Cut is super successful, then none of this will matter because AT&T will go with what makes the most money and be like, that whole Keaton idea? Yeah, we're not doing that. Let's continue Zack's original vision because it makes money.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, depending on how the Snyder thing does and how they, like, right now, Ben Affleck hasn't even gotten a chance to show what he would have been as Batman because he hasn't even. They cut everything, and they even, like you said, they cut all Deathstroke stuff. So
all those jokes were Whedon jokes too. That wasn't. Yeah. He didn't have those type of jokes. They also cut so much of Wonder Bat, which really ticks me off. Like, I'm a huge, because of the Justice League thing with the animated show. Like, I'm a huge Wonder Bat fan, so they essentially cut all the Wonder Bat stuff. Because I guess Whedon didn't like it, or it didn't.
Batman romance.
It wasn't romance. There was a lot of scenes with them together where there was a lot of romantic tension or that kind of stuff. Also, the Batcave was much darker and cooler looking than kind of the highlighted, bright, fluorescent, kind of warehouse Batcave that they gave us.
It makes sense because of all the guys in the universe. Like, Batman probably works harder than anyone else, so, Diana kind of respects that. She works hard too.
In Affleck, or in Flashpoint, Affleck should be Thomas Wayne Batman and end it that way. No, he's not. He's only coming back to do. He's coming back to do his Bruce Wayne story, and that's it. Like, he's not. He's not going to be in Ezra Miller's Flashpoint.
He hasn't gotten a chance to even finish his Bruce Wayne story. He never got to do it.
You're going to see Affleck's Batman story end in 2021. Then you will see, if Keaton decides to do this, you'll see Keaton in 2022 in a Bruce Wayne role in the Flash movie, which won't be titled Flashpoint. It's going to be called something else. But it's essentially following the same multiverse formula that the MCU is going to go. But technically, DC did beat them to the multiverse punch with the Crisis thing and the tie-in already to the cinematic universe with Flash and Grant showing up, and that was monumental. And there was a big reason why that happened, is because they're trying to get people used to the idea of DC films being a part of the multiverse as well, meaning anything can happen. So it's going to be pretty crazy. Oh my goodness. Nobody knows what's going on with the Batgirl movie now except Keaton wants in, and he wants to be the mentor role. He likes the idea of being a supporting lead, which means he doesn't have to shoot as much. He gets to do a lot of pictures, gets to be a part of really cool stories, and he still gets to be Batman. No argument. So he really loves the character that he didn't create, but he thinks he did.
Oh, he says in every interview he's Batman.
I'm Batman. Yeah.
But, I mean, so does everyone. Everyone considers Keaton Batman.
And no, Val Kilmer is not in talks if Keaton says no. It's Keaton or Jeffrey Dean. I don't think they'll do both. I wish they would. I wish they would do Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the Flashpoint Thomas Wayne Batman that everyone wants to see, instead of going with Burton's killer, angry, retired, eccentric Keaton Batman. Because there's no argument. Yeah, he killed a bunch of people, and we don't know what he's been doing the past 30 years. He could have created his own crime-free utopia with all the things that he did the past 30 years. But part of the reason why AT&T wants to do this too, the Keaton way, is they want to bring back some of Keaton's co-stars from his Batman movies.
Oh my god!
So Kim Basinger, you got Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer. the guy who played Knox,
Well,
all these people that were part of...
Two-Faces.
You could bring back Billy D. Williams. Tommy Lee Jones, I don't see that happening, because Tommy Lee Jones... This is what I love about this, because this has been clear and concise with these discussions. Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are not Michael Keaton's Batman. They are part of the multiverse, but they are not part of Keaton's story. Keaton walked during Batman 3, and Batman 3 became Batman Forever. It's not Keaton's universe. This movie would take place 30 years after whatever Keaton's Batman has been doing. So there was no Riddler. There was no Two-Face yet. There could be, and it could be Billy D, most likely, because everybody wants to see Billy D. So AT&T is seeing this as a thing that they can basically give people a Keaton Batman movie that they wanted. They can keep Keaton happy. They can make Keaton happy by bringing him back and letting him do Batman again without having to wear the suit. And changing up how DC superhero movies are going to be from now on with him in that Nick Fury role. Being that kind of supportive older dad basically be like older dad to all these heroes. Which could work out really well if they do it right. And the way they can do that is not by going back to the Burton world. They have to have Batman aged up at least 20 years. Or 15 years, or whatever. Maybe movie magic, they can make Affleck's Batman become Keaton through some time travel shenanigans. It's not really... That's the best way to replace an actor with another one. You don't even have to have Ben show up, because at the end of the Snyderverse theory, if Flash is really running back in the past after Darkseid took over the world and killed everybody, you end the movie just like how they did with the Apocalypse movie, which... The Apocalypse movie is based on Zack Snyder's original vision of his Justice League 3-parter. And in one of those movies, Flash did end the film on a cliffhanger with him going back in time, which set up Justice League 3, which is very different than Justice League Part 1 and 2. So, I mean, you could still do it that way, which leads directly into Ezra Miller's The Flash movie. Like, people would have to watch the Snyderverse miniseries to see what happened and how Flash got from the Snyderverse to his movie in 2022. And they would only, that would be brilliant. Because you would tie essentially a streaming service, which has never been done before, a streaming service continuity into the films. It's like almost like a transition from the end of Snyder's Justice League into Ezra's new Flash movie. And you could bring back key players and just replace some other characters, but still have it fit into that universe. If they do it right.
Do you think, like, for the Keaton movie, like, they took out a lot of stuff for the Ben Affleck movie because they didn't want to make it too dark? Like, do you think that the Keaton movie should be, like, rated R?
They should make it a combination of Flashpoint and Convergence. I don't think the Snyderverse, like, the miniseries is basically going to be rated R. It's not going to be a PG-13 thing.
Yeah.
No.
But you think, like, Keaton should compete with Marvel and try to make it PG?
I mean, I always thought Keaton was coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so this was a big surprise to me. I thought we lost him just like we lost Bale. It was over. But, I mean, if he comes back, I mean, this has never been done before, where a dude who originated the role, he's now the oldest living Batman actor, if you think about it, because Adam West is gone. Keaton is the oldest film Batman, and to have him actually reprise his role 30 years later, that's unheard of. That would be like cinematic history. Never happened. You've had a Batman voice actor reprise his role numerous times for the past 25 years, but it's never been done in film where a younger actor played the role 30 years ago, and then he came back, reprised his character, and did something new with him, while still continuing the universe that they created all those years ago. So that world was still thriving for 30 years. That's really cool. And, a lot of people would be on board with that, but I don't know. I thought everything was going to go much, much smoother, and then that whole thing about Keaton not being cool with anybody else being Batman in the movie basically killed, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, because I feel bad for the guy. He really wants to do it. He's wanted to do the Flashpoint movie the way it's intended since he signed up to BVS, because Flashpoint was part of Zack's vision.
It puts a damper in the multiverse, because then you can't have any other cameos of other Batman in the movie. Or he says there can't be any other Batman.
I mean, personally, I would throw whatever money at Keaton I could, because remember, But the thing is, what people don't understand is Warner Bros. Gave him a lot of money to do Batman 3. He was so annoyed with the script, he walked off after he had just tried on the new costume. They were smart, though. They wouldn't show him the script until he came in for a costume fitting. He did the costume fitting, they showed him the script, he walked. That was it. And people are just like, okay, offer him all this. And Keaton's like, nah. Nope. Sucks. It sucks. Not doing it.
Well, at least he has integrity.
Yeah. Well, he also said he felt that the movies were becoming oversaturated with villains. Like, one of the things that he wanted to talk to them about Batman 3 is he didn't want multiple villains because it took away from the Batman aspect. Which I don't think he understands that the Batman aspect kind of works with him as, like, in a minimal role with the eccentric villains, like, doing their thing. But I think he was correct. Like, Batman 3, they wanted to introduce originally the Riddler. I don't think Two-Face. I think it was Riddler and Mr. Freeze and a female villain. I don't remember her name. And another version, they wanted to have Two-Face, Billy D. Williams, and a female villain. And Keaton just didn't like the idea of all these villains. And then, of course, by the time the Batman and Robin movie came out, you had 4 villains almost. And it just became... Yeah, I mean, Keaton knew it was going down like the drain because the direction wasn't there. Without Tim, the movies just fell apart until Nolan came into the picture.
Think about how many things that Keaton did that were incorporated into, like, Batman the Animated Series.
Batman the Animated Series is all thanks to Burton's Batman. And the Fisher Superman.
And even the way that Ben Affleck acted Batman, like, where he hardly talked at all, and he was just very serious, that was from Keaton.
Yep.
And Batman the Animated Series, the fact that, Batman and Robin would be on the ledge there hanging out, and Batman wouldn't be talking to Robin at all. Kind of interesting, because you were telling me that Keaton originally had all these lines, and Keaton was like, no, Batman wouldn't be talking at all. So
well, they were using the original, 39 Batman. He was very silent, but he had a lot of, one-liners and things like that when he would kill somebody.
Yeah, like a Marvel film.
Right.
Exactly why I don't like Marvel films.
So Keaton had, he had some creative control because of some of the other movies that he did with, Burton. So when it came time for him to say a lot of his lines, he wouldn't say them. And then Tim was like, wait a second, you didn't say the line.
That's why Keaton is awesome.
And Keaton was like, yeah, he says this worked better. I did this. And
just look at him.
Yeah, he did something dramatic in the suit. He did a bat turn.
Cooler.
He did talk a little bit in the movie, but only when, it really felt like it worked.
Keaton being Batman may surprise us, because I thought Keaton was going to be terrible at being the Vulture, but he was amazing.
I loved him as a Vulture.
So, he could completely surprise us. He might, the fact that he took that character and created it.
I always liked his Bruce Wayne
on film. And it had never been done before. He could completely surprise us. But
he could.
He could also really mess.
He could. It's 50-50 at this point.
Yeah.
If they go with AT&T's vision, I don't like the idea of them getting rid of Thomas Wayne and just having. There's three things that could happen. The Burton-verse comes back, and Keaton does whatever Keaton thinks he's doing, kind of like training this Flash kid to save the multiverse, which I don't know how he would do that, not being Batman. The second thing, which Warner Brothers has wanted, is kind of like Affleck being replaced, doing the what do you ever call it, the sentimental scene at the end, but with a twist, with the Keaton humor, because instead of Flash showing up to give the letter, he does show up to give the letter to Bruce, But Flash is shocked, so you get the comedy element that he sees that Bruce Wayne is now like Bruce Vane. He's almost like so much older, and it's still Bruce, but that would be funny, but also kind of like, wait, what happened? And then you learn as those movies, like the next DC movie that comes out in like 2023 or 24, some aspects of the DC universe has changed now because of Flash's 2022 movie. That's perfect.
What would be really cool is if Flash came to give it to other Batman, and he comes to give it to Keaton, and Keaton somehow knows he's coming, because
he's that Batman.
Exactly, because also because Batman's so
universal,
freaking smart that he could have figured it out, like that he was coming.
He just says, "Oh, hey, Barry," like Keaton, and he goes to his computer. "What's up, Barry?"
Is he not the greatest detective? So
yeah.
He could have already figured it out.
Yeah.
He could have seen like some kind of like heat signature coming in and realized somebody's going through a portal.
Well, I mean, the Batcave's got all kinds of things, and we already know Keaton's super paranoid as his Batman, so he would probably have some type of. What I'm excited about this, no matter what happens, the fact that you would get Keaton to come back to reprise his role, and then throw him into this super-powered world, because remember, he came from a DC universe that was set in realism, in a sense. They had guns and cars, and there wasn't super-powered beings, but you're going to take this Batman, and you're going to place him into this crazy world. He's probably sitting there during the meetings, and he's just like, a lot of this sounds really cool, but we got to make sure that I'm happy, because Batman 3, no.
I mean, out of all the people who are playing Batman on screen, though, I feel like
he still hasn't watched them.
Oh wow!
He hasn't watched any of his replacements. He doesn't like.
Well, I wouldn't watch Justice League yet. Wait till the Snyderverse.
Don't show him Justice League now. He'll walk. He'll be like, nah,
walk.
I don't know. This no.
Don't show him. Show him Bale going. Yeah. Like,
Batman. Be like, no, you did not just do what me and Timmy. We forged a trail, and you just burned it.
Out of everybody playing Batman, though, his Bruce Wayne was.
I loved his Bruce Wayne. I thought his Bruce Wayne was fun.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that's why AT&T is talking to him, because people liked his Bruce Wayne.
His Bruce Wayne was so.
It was fun.
Relatable. Like, he seemed like a normal guy that just happened to be a billionaire.
He was a normal guy who put on a suit and fought crime.
Yeah, like
he wasn't.
Every other version, like Ben Affleck's version, is like, wow, no one could ever do that.
Ben Affleck's version is
insane.
If you saw your son killed before your very eyes and you couldn't save any of your friends, and then you had some crazy alien come to Earth and muck things up even more, that's your Batman.
I mean, he's cool, but no one can relate to the guy.
No.
The fact that, like, Vicky Vale was like, oh, yeah, is Bruce Wayne around here? And he's like, oh, yeah, that's me.
Let me check.
It's like, oh, my gosh.
No, he doesn't say that first. He's like, I don't know. Let me go check. He just did something funny, and then she was like, oh, okay. And then later, when she runs into him, he's like, Bruce Wayne. She's like, are you sure this time? He's like, yeah.
Well, here you go, Luke. I don't know if Warner Bros. Has thought about this, but
I don't know.
If he becomes Batman, and we're bringing other people into the universe.
He's gonna be Bruce Wayne. He's not gonna be Batman.
Okay.
That's a clear statement that has been echoed through everybody talking about this. As he said, "I'm not Batman. I'm Bruce Wayne."
If we're bringing other people into the universe, I mean, there's one person who's very dear and near to Bruce Wayne's heart, and
Vicky.
In the comic books, they actually ended up getting married at
Catwoman.
That would be really awesome if
Michelle Pfeiffer again.
Why not? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, she's kind of he's not really tied up to his Marvel contract. Like, negotiations didn't go well, hence why he's talking with DC again. Michelle Pfeiffer is
Ant-Man's wife.
Original Ant-Man's wife. I think she's off the board.
I thought
you would have to bring back Kim Basinger.
Ant-Man is gone.
No, everybody's back. What do you mean Ant-Man's gone?
Ant-Man is so old. Like, they already did all those series.
They're not done with those characters. Hank and what's her name will probably be back in a future movie. I guess. I
If I
mean,
was Michelle Pfeiffer, I'd cancel my contract to be Catwoman.
I don't want to see. Well, I mean, I want to see Selena back, but I don't want to see geriatric Catwoman. Sorry, I don't. No. Ooh.
All right, Selena.
Ooh.
Selena Kyle.
I'm cool seeing cool grandma Selena Kyle. Don't put her in spandex, please. Please, dear God, no. Oh, images.
Well, I'm glad I could put that image in your mind before I
Oh,
went.
the sagging.
I'm about to go home to bed.
Oh, no.
Well, on that note, we're done with whatever.
You just ruined this for me. My gosh. So Keaton is still in Morbius too? Well, that's interesting. I don't know how they're gonna do this then. Like, I mean, if he's still part of the MCU, how in the world is this gonna work? Disney's not gonna let him do this. I thought he was completely done. So if he's in the Morbius movie, either his contract is over after Morbius, or they don't care what he does. But I guess that explains why he's trying to do a 6-picture deal. I don't know. That's crazy, though. I love this car. Night, baby. Thank you for ruining my my mind. They could kill Vulture in it. Yeah, they could do that, but I like Vulture. I like Batman more, but I don't know. Alright, so now I want to hear from you guys. How long have I been talking anyway? How long has this been going on? An hour? 45 minutes? What do we got? What are we at? About an hour. Alright, so let's open up the floor to you guys and gals. You got questions, I can do my best to kind of fill you in a little bit more about what's going on. It's not finalized yet, although it's looking good. But not looking good because Grace is reporting one thing, and other people are still reporting that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is still involved, and other people are saying he's not involved. It's only Keaton now as his Burton Batman. 30 years later. I mean, he's got the star power to do it. It's just I don't know how it would really work out well. Hey pal, how's it going? I love this suit. I love it! Come here. What? Okay, that was a tractor beam thing. Boom. Boom. I just love standing over cretins like this. Good times. You started it up again. DC should use the amazing de-aging that Disney does for... No, that would be terrible. Yes, I know about Schumacher. I'm not really going to talk about it because I didn't like the Schumacher films. It's sad that the director died, but I'm just not really going to talk about it too much. I liked Batman Forever. And it's a shame that Joel passed away before he could make some cool, more cool movies. He did some pretty cool stuff outside of Batman, but I never really was interested in seeing his work after Batman and Robin and things like that. Why is AT&T being so good to the fans? I mean, they're really not yet, though. I mean, good to the fans would be the original vision of, you know, Snyder and stuff like that. And it doesn't sound like that's happening, so... I don't know. On the topic of... Oh, more Joel Schumacher stuff. Topic of Schumacher's unfortunate passing. Is it true that he had an alternate director's cut of Batman Forever? I was hoping you could clear this up. I've never heard of a alternate director's cut. There was some things that were cut from Batman Forever, such as a scene where there was some more darker elements that the studio didn't like. As for getting a director's cut of that today, probably not. It was just a lot more psychological stuff involving like Bruce Wayne's dad's journal. They were really going to go a lot with that red journal, you know. and they didn't. They had some horror elements in the movie that Schumacher had originally, but the executives at Warner Bros. Pulled it and said no. So it wouldn't have made the movie that much longer, but it probably would have changed the tone of the film just a little bit. So I don't think there's a studio cut of that. Are we going to get a Batman Beyond movie with Keaton? I hope so, but I don't think so. Not yet. Sounds like he's going to be just a multiverse Batman. 2 versions. He could be multiverse. No, 3 versions. Multiverse Batman, Bruce Wayne. 30 years later, Batman Returns Batman, Bruce Wayne, that Ezra Miller meets. Or he could be DC Cinematic Universe Bruce Wayne aged up more instead of de-aged. Because in the original Flashpoint, when they set up the New 52, all the characters were de-aged by Dan Didio by like 20 years. So it would be a nice little twist if Ezra Miller, when he comes back to, talk to Bruce, that he goofed and Batman aged 20 years more instead of 20 years less. That'd be kind of a nice little comic book Easter egg. A little bit. Will Pattinson replace Ben Affleck? No. Pattinson is in his own universe, part of the DC Multiverse. It's part of the DC Black Label. It loosely follows the Long Halloween movie. There's going to be a lot of really cool stuff that you're going to see with that Batman in a trilogy, but as far as him hanging out with the Justice League, as far as I know, that's not the plan right now. Or anytime soon. So your DC cinematic Batman could be Keaton, your cinematic Nick Fury Bruce Wayne could be Keaton, and you wouldn't have a Batman in the DC cinematic films, but you would have Bruce Wayne, which would be kind of cool because as a big opponent of the Bat embargo, all of this stuff happening with Snyder's verse with his Ben Affleck, that's one Batman. The Pattinson Batman that same year, that's 2 Batmen. And then if you add Keaton to the mix, that's 3 Batman. Plus, you have the CW Batman, who's coming now because things with Batwoman are crazy. So you got 4 Batmen coexisting in a multiverse. Although, if Matt Reeves, he kind of likes Nolan's idea of just having his own Batman, which would make things very hard for the studio. But I believe the Keaton thing would just be Bruce Wayne. So just like what they did with the Titans thing. There's so many live-action Bruce Wayne Batman things that is happening now, because the dude who played Batman Bruce Wayne in the Titan show is coming back for Season 3, which they're going to officially announce at the DC Nation thing, or they were going to do it at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't think he's going to suit up, though. There's going to be more with more with Jason Todd, more with Connor, and of course they're going to introduce Barbara Gordon, which, I think it's too late to put Barbara in Titans, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. Oh my goodness. This is going to make people sick to death of Batman. This is making my head hurt. I know, there's so much going on, isn't there? Oof. All I know is I'm very happy that Affleck gets to finish his story. To some extent. It'll be a rushed version, yeah, but be a rushed little miniseries. That'll make me happy. Because I feel like he was kind of robbed a little bit. But oh well. I think in order to keep Matt Reeves happy, that going forward for the DC Cinematic Universe, it has to be just Bruce Wayne. I don't think you can have Batman running around after Matt Reeves' Batman is running around. But an older Bruce Wayne is fine. I don't think that would cause a lot of problems with anybody. And in a sense, what this does is it kind of weakens the Bat embargo a little bit. Like, it doesn't fully destroy it, mind you, but it it sets up steps to get rid of it long term. And that, to me, is very exciting. Because this is something Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers and WB has never been really considering. So that, to me, is kind of cool that they're even taking this into consideration. Because the Bat embargo is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing that needs to die a horrible Bat-related death. And it's robbing a lot of comic book fans a lot of cool stories that we can see for Batman. And what's great about this with the Keaton thing, since he's the appropriate age, you could see a Batman Beyond movie if Keaton is up to it. But get him in the universe first. And then, figure out what they're going to do with that. Wow, I totally destroyed that car. I mean, that's at least my 2 cents on that. Well, it's been a fun day. I was so happy with all the news this morning. It was awesome. I wasn't expecting all that stuff. So I'm pretty happy. Have you found the Grundy Easter egg in City? Probably. Could Terry become the Batman in the DCU or Jean Paul Valley? I don't know. It'd definitely be somebody younger. If this gets done well, do you think the DC Cinematic Multiverse could succeed? Yes. Yes, I do. If they do this well, even if they did just like a hack job of what Snyder's thing was with the Flashpoint thing, like trying to be pretty close to that vision and Ezra and Warner Brothers' original vision of Flashpoint, with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and all those other people, that'd be great. But at the same time, you have to recast the Bruce Wayne of your universe. You can't just get rid of him completely. And I think it would be a nice little twist on the Flashpoint thing, instead of de-aging the character of Batman, that you would accidentally, Flash would somehow age him up. So all that kind of stuff would have happened with that Batman, except now he's much, much older. That'd be kind of cool. And then you could play around with a lot of older Bruce Wayne stories. You could make Keaton happy without not having to wear the suit. Which he doesn't like the suit. So it feels like a win-win to me, as long as they execute it correctly. They could botch it because, let's face it, DC has not had a very good track record with their cinematic universe movies. Their Batman movies are always pretty solid. And their Wonder Woman movie was pretty good too. And Man of Steel had its bumps, but I did like Man of Steel and BVS. And Aquaman. Suicide Squad, I wanted to like it, I did, but... Oh, I forgot to tell you. There's another reveal that's happening that you guys have probably heard about this and don't really care about, but... the Suicide Squad is going to get some love, like the new movie, at the DC Fandom event. I'm surprised a lot of publications haven't really talked about it yet. Maybe they just don't care, but... James Gunn's Suicide Squad is going to have a decent presence at the DC Fandom streaming event, which I believe I talked about before, but I don't remember. There's so much going on with this DC Fandom event. I do want to nip this in the bud right now, because I've seen some people on Twitter spreading some misinformation a little bit. This is not going to be a Warner Brothers game event, so don't expect like the Lego Star Wars game or Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. That's all Warner Brothers. You have to be thinking about DC games, not Warner Brothers properties. They are Warner Brothers properties, don't get me wrong, but if it's not in the DC Fandom, it's not going to be in this event. So, only DC stuff. So people need to stop saying that the entire E3 spread from 2020 that Warner Brothers was going to be doing is going to show up at the DC Fandom event. No, it won't. Only DC properties. I mean, I thought that was kind of a given, but I was surprised that people were kind of like running with that, and it was like, no, that's incorrect. It's all DC. It's all DC related. It's a celebration of everything DC, and it'll be kind of cool. So, but it's not Warner Brothers as a whole. Otherwise, they would call it a Warner Brothers event. Because originally, it was supposed to be like a WB Games, like, Nintendo Direct type thing. That was the plan after E3. And then San Diego Comic-Con got canned. So they had to figure out what they were going to do with all their big reveals for San Diego Comic-Con. So, ergo the DC fandom event. Smart, right? More or less. Yeah, it's kind of cool that DC's getting its own event, isn't it? I just hope they don't mess it up. There's a lot of things they could do wrong. If the Batman game is not what people are expecting, if it's not that Gotham Knights thing, which, if you guys don't know what Gotham Knights is, Gotham Knights was a comic book from 2000 to 2006 that was a Bat family book starring Batman and his allies. The rumored Bat game is a game about Batman and his allies, so the name Gotham Knights makes sense. Has no connection to Arkham. It's an all-new thing, and it has the Bat family as playable. I don't know how many members of the Bat family, but that's the thing that's running around. And the, what do they call it? The domain name was leaked last night, or 24 hours ago, or 48 hours ago. I don't remember. But it's common knowledge now, so I can talk about it. I'm pretty sure Gotham Knights is the final name of the game, because it's in the domain name. But it might not be. You might be pretty shocked to see that Gotham Knights could be a Lego game. Ooh. The fact that I just said that might really make people mad. I love Batman Lego games, but if it was, I think fandom would have, like, a stroke. If Batman Gotham Knights was a Lego game. I would laugh a little bit. And then I would check myself into a mental institution. But my goodness. Do you like the Batman who laughs? I don't mind him. Off topic, K-Wing, but have you seen the documentary on how Bill Finger got officially recognized as a co-creator on the Batman movies and stuff? I know that he was officially, like, made as a co-creator. I already talked about Schumacher's death, Homer. It's very sad, but I didn't like the guy. I didn't like what he did to the films. I've only ever seen Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I think I saw The Saint, but I didn't like his direction. I didn't like pretty much everything he did with Batman. He was kind of like the villain, the arch enemy of Batman for me, most of my life. And I stopped talking about him about 6 or 7 years ago, and just kind of ignored everything Schumacher has done. It's sad that he passed away, but you know, I don't really know enough about the guy to really grieve properly, so I didn't want to talk about it, because I just don't. I'm kind of it's sad that a human being passed away, but I have no physical connection to it. Like, I did not enjoy his work, so it's not it's sad, but it doesn't do anything to me. Sorry. I don't know if that's the nicest way to talk about that, but please, no more Lego Batman games. Oh, I'm sure you'll be getting another one. I'm sure you will. Are you hyped for Rocksteady Suicide Squad game 2, or just the Batman game? If Rocksteady is the one making it, I'm interested to see what they do with it. I like Rocksteady. I know them pretty well. I'd be pretty mad at them because, well, I mean, they've been doing their job about not telling me what they've been doing the past 3 or 4 years. So I will admit that they have some of the greatest PR and community managers that I've ever dealt with, because they are smooth operators when it comes to deflecting things and answering a question with a question. Are we working on something? They've never given me a clear answer except anything Batman related. So I was always able to get them to slip up a little bit when it came to something Batman related, but they haven't told me anything other than, they don't comment on rumors and speculation, and I should know better about things, and, kind of razzing me a little bit, like on DMs and things like that. They're a fun group. I really like them, but I'm going to be pretty annoyed because Suicide Squad does have a connection to Batman mythos, so I'm going to go after some people playfully. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to razz them back. I'm sorry, what? Are they rebooting the entire DC films, or are they keeping some of the actors from the previous films? Okay, so if Flashpoint works, or Flash movie works, they're going to recast Batman, or Bruce Wayne, and they're going to recast Mira, and they're going to recast a couple other people. They'll keep Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, and a couple other people that you saw in some of Snyder's movies, but they'll also do new casting and bring in new characters like Dick Grayson and Jimmy Olsen and probably a different Perry White and all this other stuff. And that's the way that you could get away with it, is a Flashpoint is essentially, it's like an artist making corrections. It's still kind of that universe, but not. It's different. It might have a similar feel to it, but it'll never feel the same. It'll never be what Zack Snyder did. It'll be something different. It'll be what WB wanted to do. WB wanted to chart like this whole 10-year plan of a shared universe, and now they'll get to, in some ways. And I'm happy about it. I'm on board with whatever they want to do Keaton-wise, and I will go there. I just want them to not make it too crazy. Because I think for everything there is a season, and the Keaton world is not something that would translate well with superpowered characters. But I like the idea of aging up Batman from the cinematic universe and turning him into a retired Batman, which is Keaton. A lot of the cool stuff still happened with that version of Batman. You could even have his suit or suits in the cave, showing that, yes, indeed, that was the Batman that you saw doing that awesome warehouse scene, but it was a long time ago. That, to me, would be kind of cool. It'd be like, all the stuff that you enjoyed still happened, but it's very different now. I think that would be a nice nod to what Ben Affleck did, a great nod to what Keaton did as his role, as Batman, and also his continuation of the character as Bruce Wayne. I think that'd be pretty awesome. I want it to be pretty good, Michael Keaton, and I hope it will definitely deliver if one of the brothers is doing their best of Bruce Wayne of Michael Keaton. If one of the brothers? I don't understand that. Hot take, Bale is the best Bruce Wayne, Keaton is the best Batman, Kevin Conroy is Bat-God. You and me, same page, Infinity Horse. Although I did like Bruce Wayne. I liked Keaton's version because he felt the most human. Are you hoping for the new Batman game to have co-op and a better multiplayer mode? I don't really know what to think about the new Batman game. And I don't know if I'm at liberty to talk a lot about things, because I could do Freudian slips and get in trouble. Based on the Gotham Knights name, because that's something I thought the game was going to be called. There was actually a list of supposed leaks of names, and Gotham Knights was one of the names. So I never really brought it up beforehand because I don't want to get sued as a leaker. So because I'm so good at predicting crap, and I have WB Games watching me like a hawk, I'm being very careful about not saying certain things, because if I'm right, then I could get sued probably. And I kind of want to be surprised. I don't want to theorize anything about the game until I've seen a trailer, because I don't want to be right, and I don't want to be wrong, and I don't want to instill false hope that this thing exists. I mean, it's pretty obvious it exists now, but, there's still the back of my mind thinking that Warner Brothers could still choke this thing out of existence, and that scares me. So I'm trying to be good, people. I promise that I'll go into more details, like, once we hit August. I'm concerned about things. I've had a lot of bad things happen to me this past couple weeks. I've had a lot of crazy NPCs from The Last of Us after me. People trying to dox me and all kinds of crazy stuff, like cancel culture, and I got into some heated fights, like written wise, and I was just waiting to get a call from Sony, to be honest, which didn't happen. So I guess it's not. I think the heat has died down, and people are just going back to me as the internet Batman again, and I feel a lot better. I've been kind of like looking over my shoulder, and I've had my phone off since Friday night. I've had my phone off because I've just been worried. I can't tell you anything about Lego because I could be right. I've said some things about Lego in the past, but I don't know if you guys were paying attention. Over the weekend, I've had some Warner Bros. Traveler's Tale people follow me. So I've got WB Games and I got Traveler's Tales watching me like a hawk, so I'm going to be a good boy. I'm going to be good. That's why we're talking about movie stuff, yo, because WB Pictures doesn't like me very much. And WB Animation really don't like me. So I can just say I didn't read anything. I just kind of guessed all this stuff. You can't sue me for guessing, but because I have a nasty record of being so spot on with a lot of WB games and Lego Batman games, I'm shutting up in that until we get closer to August. Because I have said things about some past Lego DC things that could happen or were in development. And I'm not going any more into details about that because reasons. And for legal reasons, I have not signed any new NDAs for anything that I know of. Unless those carry over to other projects. I don't know. I'd have to talk to my PR or the legal person. And I don't want to because, oh my gosh, you guys, I thought I was going to get hit by a DMCA by Sony with the whole Last of Us thing. That was terrifying. Because people were misquoting me like crazy. Oh my gosh. But with Warner Brothers, I'm going to be good. K-Wing is a future teller, confirmed. Or I'm a time traveler, Joel. Dang it! No, I probably shouldn't have said that. Mask of the Phantasm should be a Batman game. Yeah, why not? I'd be down with that. Do you think Keaton playing Bruce Wayne will take away from Pattinson's Batman? No. I don't. I think that we, as a Batman audience, are ready for multiple Batman. I think that it's okay. MCU has Steve Rogers, and it's going to have Sam. DC Cinematic Universe can have Robert Pattinson, and it can have Keaton. And in a way, if you really think about it, I'm going to blow your mind, okay? If Keaton comes back, then he has been Batman all this time in the movies. His Batman has been continuous. Do you know how cool that would be? The Batman that, if you're my age, if you're like late 30s, and you saw Batman on the silver screen, like Keaton, either Returns or whatever, your Batman you grow up with is still Batman. In canon. And in the movies. Now, you didn't get to watch him grow up like James Bond-wise and appear in so many different, like, Batman, like, 1 through 7 or something like that. But your Batman that you grew up with, people who are 30s, 40s, he still continued on until the 2020s. That is epic. You can't... Wow. You know? Alfred would be dead. Alfred would be gone. Without answering your question completely, Beast Winger, the answer is yes, but I can't say out loud. but it is connected. Kind of. But I can't go into any more detail. How old is Pattinson's Batman supposed to be? 30s? Early 30s? I know, I got a really good feeling from this too, guys. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to go down. I think Keaton is going to reprise his role. I hope he says yes, but I hope he gets really good direction and he takes over that, cameo role that Affleck was going to do, because it's a great idea. It's a great consistency to have that Bruce Wayne character keep popping up. And Keaton's one of my favorite actors, like live action. I've seen every one of Michael Keaton's movies, his comedies, his dramas. I just like watching the guy. He's cool. And my introduction to Keaton was Batman. And then, I saw him in the other movies that he was in. Exactly, Affinity Horse. That's my reasoning too. So DCEU will still have an active Ben Affleck Batman. They'll have an active Bruce Wayne. If this deal goes through, then your Batman will be too old to wear the suit, but Bruce Wayne will still be very active in this universe, doing a lot of cool things, and in a sense, continuing your childhood. Blew your mind again. So you'll get to see your Bruce Wayne, people who are my age, doing all kinds of crazy modern things and awesome things as Bruce Wayne that, his world just stopped after Batman Returns. There was a plan to bring Michael Keaton's Batman back into DC Comics with the Batman 89 books, but it fell through. And we would have gotten to see Billy D. Williams as Two-Face and Robin Williams as the Riddler and all these other, things in comic, and a continuation of that universe, kind of like what they did with Smallville and Batman 66, but it didn't go through. Now we have a chance to have that happen, but as live action. I mean, are you kidding me? That's amazing. To some extent. But this is how you guys were really going to get to know Ben Affleck's Batman and have him cemented in your mind, because he was going to have so many different little supportive cameos. And now that supportive cameo thing is going to be Keaton. I'm sorry, but that's awesome. And I think it pays tribute to what Ben Affleck did before. A little bit. And it builds a larger continuity. Your pillow's down here, sweetie. You're welcome. Also, yes, I made a Freudian slip. Gordon was supposed to be in Snyder's thing. Yeah. You called me on that. Thank you. You are correct. Snyder did bring him back. So Gordon was still alive. He did have a lot more footage for Whedon, though, than he did for Zack's role. He had the rooftop scene for Zack, but I believe Whedon gave him a precinct scene and some other stuff, as well as like bouncing humor off Batman. He was just supposed to be kind of like introduced in the world. But I believe when Batman gets the tip about Arkham, he gets it from Jim. So there was going to be a lot more cool rooftop stuff between those characters. I don't know why J.K. got so jacked up to play the role, though. Maybe it was going to have to do something with like the nightmare visions or something. I don't know. I never understood why Commissioner Gordon was getting jacked like that. Like everybody was getting into like Frank Miller shape, like big bodybuilder. Like it always kind of creeped me out a little bit. It's like, why? What are you doing? Are we gonna have Jim Gordon beating up parademons or something? I know. The Batman Affleck script was an amazing read. Have I done a video on that yet? I need to do a video of that because that script was awesome. Kevin Smith said it was one of the coolest Batman script he's ever read. And it was written by Ben Affleck and... was it Goyer? I don't remember. I swear I made a video on that. I thought I did. I need to. That's a great script. I mean, Tyler, come on. Are you really going to ask basically your grandpa to put on a Batman suit and run around? Or a Kingdom Come Bat suit? I mean, come on. We don't want Keaton to have a heart attack. Also, I kid you not, Keaton is claustrophobic. Keaton had several panic attacks when he was inside the bat suit. It was part of his character. He used that fear to really play Batman well. But when you see him sweating and stuff in those shots, he's really freaking out. When his eyes get wide sometimes, in those old movies, he was not having the best day ever inside of that suit. But he made it feel so real in those moments because you didn't really know what was going on, why he was making a lot of these facial reactions or why he was doing this type of movement. And then years later on RoboCop, it comes out and he says, oh yeah, he says, I'm claustrophobic. So I told him if I ever do a superhero thing, I'm never wearing a suit. You could put an air conditioner in that thing. You'll never get me in it. And as far as I know, other than the Vulture thing, he didn't really have a suit. It was kind of like he had a jacket and he had like this mechanized thing. He wasn't fully encased in like a costume because he hates that. I did think his Vulture look was kind of cool, but he kind of was wearing, from what I remember, maybe you guys can help me out. I'm not a big MCU person, but wasn't he wearing kind of like a bomber's jacket with like this helmet? And he had like, I think he had wings, or it was like a glider or something like that. Maybe a CGI suit. No CGI suit. Stop that. Learn from Green Lantern and just... I have seen parts of... I've read parts of Ben Affleck's script because it was leaked on the internet a couple years ago. I have not seen the entire script. I don't know who has it. I don't know what websites would post that. Kevin Smith, as far as I know, he's the only one who's been able to read the entire thing. And like a few trusted people that Ben Affleck likes. There are a couple fan sites that have portions of the script. Is it portion? Did I say that right? Portions? Segments? Sections? Yeah, it's a bomber jacket. Yeah. Don't I think that Keaton is too old? No. To be running around as Bruce Wayne in cameo and supporting roles? No, I don't think he's too old. I think it'd be great. He wants to play the character again. Let him play the character. People my age would love it. And people older than my age. Like, people who were teenagers when Batman released, or people who were, you know... It's fun for them to see, too. Keaton is a great actor. And, you know, it'd be a really cool thing. I hope it happens. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I hope it does. I guess we'll find out by the DC Nation event thing, because now that so many people are reporting on this, there's either a couple things that's going to happen. Like, for people to stop talking about this in detail the way they are right now. They're going to have to leak something WB Games related, or some other DC movie project that was supposed to be announced at San Diego Comic-Con is going to sneak its way to the internet to try to deviate from all this Michael Keaton attention. You watch. Something's going to happen. Otherwise, people are just going to keep pestering Keaton and his production company, or his, what do they call it? talent agency. I don't know. We don't want to do anything to make Keaton not accept this, because I think it'd be a really fun thing, and I love when movie history is made. I think that's really exciting. But that's just me. Have I been talking for 2 hours? Because my throat's starting to get all raspy. Ooh, yeah, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, guys. So let's... Do you think that Keaton would have had all the Robins in Bat Family? They don't have to be in, but like their suits, we could see an 89 verse Nightwing. I mean, that's the joy of time travel, my friends. Like, when Flashpoint happens, you know, characters get resurrected, characters die. Dick Grayson, who's dead currently, yeah, you could see a Nightwing costume or a Robin costume in Keaton's Batcave. There's a lot of things that they could do. I'm sure that Nightwing is going to come back into the DC Cinematic Universe after the Flash movie, because Chris McKay still really wants to make his Nightwing movie. He's been kind of held back He's been held back by moving forward with the movie because of a lot of the, we'll say, shenanigans with the Snyderverse. Because this character's dead. In fact, all the Robins never really happened, because after Dick, that was it. The direction that they were going with Robin was Carrie Kelly. You can't make Carrie Kelly Nightwing. It's like, you really can't make her Batman either, but they did try that. That was weird. Frank Miller, why did you come back and do that? That was so weird. I will never do a lore on that, because that was just dumb. I don't get it. I think she even called herself Batman for a while. It was weird. Oh my god. my still you guys can hear me pretty clearly, right? Because my it's getting hard for me to speak. Probably should have been drinking when I was doing this. What if for a fun challenge map character in the new Batman game they add the Grey Ghost? I would be down with that. Have a good one, everyone. Take care, Nightwing. Thank you. Wasn't Smallville Nightwing Barbara Gordon? Yes. Nothing to report on Batman Beyond, guys. Batman Beyond hasn't come up in the conversation at all, except like a couple people when they write their articles, they're like, wouldn't it be great if Batman Beyond happened? And it's like, yeah, it would be great. But that's not what they're talking about with the Flash movie. They're not talking about a Batman Beyond. Carrie was only Batman for half an issue. I know, it was still weird. Chris O'Donnell could come back. No. Stop that. Stop that. Let's not do that. No. The only cast members that would come back in Keaton's Burton-verse would be people that were actually in his movies. I've told you this, and they've already confirmed this. Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are not part of Keaton's Batman. He does not view it like that. He walked off. He walked out. He said, nope. So Batman and Batman Returns, they even said, like, most of the press people talking about this and the sources or whatever, that this would be a continuation after the events of Batman Returns. 30 years after Batman Returns. 2022. I hope so, Arkham Gaming. Grandma Catwoman. Stop it! George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell. Stop! Would Michelle Pfeiffer be returning? I don't know. There is going to be a Robin in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, but not Robin, Dick Grayson. Unless they're not going to do that now because of the pandemic and save it for Batman 2. It would make sense not to do it for the first movie. You could easily end the first movie with them going to the circus. Like, Alfred hands Batman some tickets, and then they end it like, oh, the next thing is going to introduce Robin. That gets people hyped. How's my mullet? Keaton did wear a costume in Birdman, but that was so long ago. Birdman was almost a decade ago. Maybe it was longer ago. What year was Birdman? Has it been 10 years since the Birdman movie? Val Kilmer was probably the best Robin chemistry for Chris O'Donnell. Michelle Pfeiffer doesn't look bad for her age, but I don't want to think, like, never mind. I don't want to talk about mature women in spandex. Just, I don't want to think that. Keaton has to wear a black turtleneck. I agree. $2014? Yeah, that was a long time ago, guys. You can't ask an almost 70-year-old guy to, you know. Joker will be in Pattinson's Batman movie. In the trilogy. I don't think you'll see him in the first movie, no. Joker had a big role in that Long Halloween saga. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say a big role. He had an important role. Just like Scarecrow and Two-Face did. Two-Face has the biggest role. If they do it. But here's the thing. They're doing an animated Long Halloween movie. So, I mean, that's going to be kind of weird. So you've got Robert Pattinson's Batman movie that's loosely based on the Long Halloween. And then you have a animated Batman movie that is going to be based entirely on the Long Halloween. That is coming out next year, I believe. Or 2022. And then you've got not Tim Burton. Then you got Bruce Timm's Batman movie animated that he's working on. I don't know what it is, though. I don't think it's the Long Halloween. It could be, though. But everything I've heard about Bruce Timm's animated Batman project is... I've never heard it connected to the Long Halloween. I always thought they were two separate things, but I would be okay if the Long Halloween project turned out to be Bruce Timm's thing. I'm willing to give him another shot. Justice League Fatal 5 was a really good movie. I feel like Tim kind of redeemed himself from the fiasco that was The Killing Joke. So, if it turns out he's the one doing the Long Halloween animated movie, then everything matches up. But I'm hoping for two separate animated Batman movies. Long Halloween as not a Tim-style movie, and whatever Tim is working on. Which you'll probably learn at the DC Fandom event. Most likely. Oh my goodness. I've been talking a while. You know, when you talk for a long time, it hurts your throat after a while. Especially when I've been recording videos all day too, so my throat's getting kind of bleh. Also, I did a lot of screaming today on Twitter when all this news was coming in. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw Keaton on the Twitter, like, and all this stuff blowing up, and I shrieked quite a bit. I jumped up and down, so I might have hurt my voice. I was like, yeah, you know. So, I got excited, and then I had to delay the stream because new information came out, and I was just kind of like, no, some of my excitement waned a little bit. Hopefully I didn't rain on your guys' parade too much tonight. Hopefully you guys are still pretty hyped about this. It's not a finalized announcement yet, but it's getting there. All Keaton has to do is say yes, and then they move forward with changing everything. Sort of. And if he says no, then I don't know. they'll probably have to beg Ben Affleck to come back for Flashpoint. Nothing wrong with a grown man jumping up and down. What if Michael Keaton played Thomas Wayne Batman? Yeah, I've heard this rumor. Okay. I don't think there's any legitimacy to this. There's one reporter, or there's one publication that's talking about this that I wouldn't even call like a credible publication, that they're saying that Keaton is replacing Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Flashpoint Batman. No, because it doesn't match up with reports that Keaton doesn't want to wear the suit. So you can't have him be Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman. It doesn't work. And also, he really wants to reprise his character, which is Bruce Wayne, 89-92 Batman. So in order to get him on board, AT&T and Warner Bros. Is going to have to play ball a little bit. I mean, the fact that the actor is stoked about playing his character again, that's... I don't know. I would think most Batman actors, they're done. When they do their tenure, that's it. When they do their movies, Bale will never come back. Bale's done. Bale never. Nope. Bale was asked to do the voice of Batman in some animated movies that they ended up getting other actors to do, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. He wouldn't even do the voice of Batman for the Gotham Knight video, like the direct-to-video thing with the different stories that were connected to Christopher Nolan's world, Batman Gotham Knight. They got Kevin Conroy last minute to do it, and Kevin gave them like 6 different performances of essentially Bale's Batman. But Bale was originally supposed to do it. He didn't want to do it. He did the video game, but back then you had to do the video game and the movie. So, I mean, he couldn't really get out of that. The 2005 Batman game. But he would not do the animated movie, which would have added more continuity to that universe. Instead, it came out kind of like this Elseworlds Batman movie. I still like it. I think Gotham Knight is a cool movie. K-Wing, is Batman Beyond 2.0 canon? It may be. I have to look into it. I'll have some tea after, Tanner. Don't worry about it. Probably. I'm game with Keaton as Bruce in the DCEU as long as they don't misuse him like Conroy was in the CW. Oh, no. You don't need to worry about that. You'll be fine. Oh my gosh, are we having tons of drop frames? That's not good. How long has that been going on? Let's not do that. Gosh, I'm going to have to get my bugs fixed by the time I do that Batman stream tomorrow. This saying we have a lot of drop frames. 769 drop frames. I mean, I guess as long as it's not a continuous thing. That's weird. I don't know why it does that, especially when I'm just doing podcast stuff. K-Wing, do you think Batgirl is going to be playable in the new Batman game? I mean, supposedly it's a Batman game with his allies in it. You can think about that how you want. I can't say word edgewise for a while, so. Is K-Wing Nightwing 01 and K-Wing's Let's Plays 3 different people? Yes. I really want Keaton to make a fishy swirl joke in the movie. That was one of my favorite Alfred lines. It's supposed to be cold. Yeah. What if Keaton possibly meets Robert Pattinson Batman? I don't think that would happen. I don't see that happening, no. All right, you guys have any last questions? Because I'm going to have to get some tea. Three K-Wings new graphic novel. Yeah, I don't know who those other K-Wings are. I'm the real McCoy. Those other guys, they're fake. They're ripping off my stick. Will the next Batman game be no comment. Do you think the Alfred from the 89 will be mentioned? Yes. I believe that Keaton would mention something about his former co-star. Or someone would bring up Alfred. And Keaton would probably be like, Al's been gone a long time. Do you think they will make a Batman the Cult movie that will cause controversy like the Joker film? No. Thoughts on Jason Momoa's Batman? Oh, Jason O'Mara. You talking about the new 52 animated Batman? Mixed. I don't know, Lane. There is a whatchamacallit. There is domain. Sorry, kind of trailing off here. There's a domain that was registered to Gotham Knights and the Suicide Squad game. So, very possible. If Keaton does meet Batgirl, who should play Barbara? I don't know. I don't know, Tree Man. It's possible that I like Keaton more. I would if Keaton came back. Be kind of interesting. I'd like to see more of that version of Batman, and especially I'm very curious to see what kind of trouble Keaton's Batman got into 30 years later. I think that'd be fun. We have such a rare opportunity to see what a character who was originally created so long ago is like 30 years later. That doesn't really happen as often. I mean, you guys are really lucky. You even had the actor of Smallville come back and reprise his character. Although a bit different, he still did come back. They also hinted at his time as Superman, tying it together with the Smallville comics. I mean, that's amazing. That kind of stuff did not happen on television when I was younger. That's pretty awesome. And now that kind of stuff can happen in the movies? Shut up. You know? Talk to the hand. What are you talking about? What? No. Who is the actor that plays Nebula? Is she the one that they're considering for Barbara Gordon? Yeah. She has expressed interest in playing and being the director of the movie. But you have to remember, a lot of those Sidekick movies were put on hold because nobody knew if those characters were alive or dead. Josh Whedon, who was supposedly, wanting to do a Batgirl movie, he could have easily used that opportunity when he directed the Justice League to have Jim mention his daughter off the cuff in the film. He never did. So... But yes, like, the Batgirl thing, the only reason people are talking about Batgirl again is because it was mentioned during these Keaton talks. So the Batgirl movie is apparently alive again, and Keaton has expressed interest in appearing in it as a supporting mentor role to Batgirl, which is kind of cool. What do you think of a WB crossover like American Smash Brothers or something similar? Imagine Maxwell fight Scooby-Doo. This was Upside Down's idea, not mine. That's interesting, Alexander. I mean, flip side. I don't know. Yeah, I think, Garrett, we need to steer away from Batman the Cult as a movie at this time. It's not the right time socially, or it's kind of like Lawless and Mob Rule right now. I don't think you want to stir the pot by like adapting a Batman story like that. In fact, The Long Halloween might cause some problems. uh, depending on what they are adapting for Matt Reeves' movie. They've already said it's going to be very, very dark, and it's, you know, they're very proud of it because they're almost going back to like the Burton style of like how edgy the film was. This is going to be a very edgy Batman movie, like without a doubt. It's going to be very edgy. It's going to put a clear picture in people's minds how different Robert is from Keaton and Affleck. Or Aff Keaton. Keeflick. Who's my favorite Batgirl? Stephanie Brown. I like Barbara. Do I think that Keaton is the real Batman? I kind of see Keaton as the real life Batman, yes, because he is the most possible, I would say, version of Batman. I mean, he just had body armor. He had a sick car. He didn't have as many gadgets. He had a lot of practical gadgets. Pretty easy to make smoke bombs that he would need, just like in the comics where you'd have to throw down like small glass balls that would make smoke. Everything was very plausible with his Batman, more or less. So yes, I do see him as the most realistic Batman, and even have the possibility of him coming back is pretty incredible. Will you play both games on the K-Wings channel? I don't know what games you're talking about. Sorry, my man. Most of the live-action Batman don't have good fight choreography. I would argue that Affleck's did, and I liked Bale's choreography too. No, I don't. The question here, I don't think Christian Bale was like a very realistic Batman. His stuff was too advanced, too comic booky. I like that. Yeah, Keaton is kind of like the Sean Connery of Batman. I agree. But as we get closer to the DC fandom event, we'll talk more about the new Batman game and some of the Batman animated movies that are sure to be popping up information about soon. But I have to tread carefully, my friends. I was a little spooked when so many Traveler's Tales people followed me recently because I did used to talk about a certain Lego DC game quite a bit on Twitter. And I remember I wasn't supposed to or something like that, but I haven't done it for years. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens in August. I hope I don't spoil it for myself, but I already have a rough idea what I think is going to be happening at the event, so it's probably already spoiled for me. Just like today's Smash Brothers reveal, Min Min was leaked like some time ago, so when I saw Amber, when I watched back Amber's reaction or whatever, I wasn't super hyped because her name already popped up as like a leak potential long time ago. So just to see that come to fruition, it was just kind of like, okay, cool. So I mean, I don't want too many things spoiled for me, so I'm trying to be on my best behavior because I don't want something that I'm eagerly anticipating to just be kind of like, okay, cool, can't wait to play it type thing. I want to be like blown away, you know? So I'm doing my best to suppress my bat intellect and future time travel skills and to just tell myself to shut up and just try to keep an open mind about stuff and not... I haven't been going to too many forum sites and discords and things like that discussing possibilities of other Batman games like I did with the Arkham Knight and other stuff because I really don't want it spoiled for me too much. I feel like I already know too much about what could be the new game, and if that's the case, I won't be disappointed, but I definitely feel like I'll have the wind kicked out of my sails a little bit because it's something I've talked about quite a bit, and yeah, I want to be surprised. I think I deserve to be surprised. I, I've done this for 12 years or something. I'm due for some surprises, right? I don't need to ruin everything for myself. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at mentally with all this. I don't know if Barbara's dead in the Snyder universe. We don't know. A Nightfall DC animated movie would be awesome. All right, so let's end with this, guys and gals. Sorry for all the drop frames. I don't know what happened tonight. Actually, I have a rough idea. I think it's because I don't have a lot of hard drive space, and also I had my portable hard drive plugged in again, which I need to stop doing that because that's not smart. Everybody keeps telling me when I have my portable hard drive plugged in, because I was uploading a video. I think. Yeah, I was uploading a video before the stream, so I just forgot to unplug it. But those of you just joining, Keaton is in talks to reprise his role as his Bruce Wayne from the Burton Bat films. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is most likely out if Keaton says yes. Keaton wants to have a supportive role going forward, appearing next in the Batgirl movie after the Flash 2022 film. And he wants to do some cool stuff with his character. They haven't mentioned anything about Batman Beyond. Ben Affleck has a full closure to his character coming in the Snyderverse, where he most likely will die. And then Flash will end up going back in time to try to save his mentor, and time travel shenanigans will occur, which is awesome. I think it all ends up working out pretty well. Pays tribute to Ben Affleck's time as Batman, and he gets to bow out gracefully. The fans will love it. Keaton comes in. Fans of Keaton will love it. And it might make the Flash movie bearable, because it might just be that I'm tired. I'm not a huge fan of Ezra Miller as a Flash. I like Grant. Grant is a better Flash for me. I don't like Ezra. I don't like how he runs. It looks stupid. And I didn't like the stuff that Whedon did with his version of the Flash. So I'm hoping that Zach's version of Ezra Miller's Flash will be something that I like and not detest as much as the Justice League version. But that's just me. Everybody has their opinion. That's fine. So yeah, the stream is winding down. Tomorrow night, guys, we start... No, we don't start Mullet Man. Tomorrow night, we will be doing Arkham Knight, the first 2 hours of the game. I think we're wearing the Ben Affleck costume because we did the Keaton streams. Would have been the perfect time to do the Keaton streams now, but we did it for the 25th anniversary of the Batman movie, if I'm remembering correctly. I think we did it for... Yeah, it was the 25th anniversary. So we wore the skin and we did some fun stuff. So we'll be doing Ben Affleck. I will be live for some of the DC fandom. I want to just touch base with WB Games and find out what time they're going to be showing off their DC properties that are going to be at the event. Because it's a 24-hour event, and I don't want to be covering... I can't cover the movies and the both animated or film because I will get copyrighted. I already have like a sweet agreement with WB Games for like the past 15 years. It's almost like a license thing. It basically is a license, I think. So I'm pretty good covering anything Batman related that's a video game. So I just want to touch base with them, find out what time they'll be showing off their DC games, and if they're going to do like this thing where they're going to show off the DC games for like 20 minutes, they're going to do gameplay, or they're just going to space out like, okay, we're going to show this game at this time, and then they're going to do some more DC announcements, and then they'll show this DC game at this time. I'm hoping that they do it as like a direct so that I can just stream it. And maybe it'll last like an hour and a half tops. I won't be streaming a lot of the movie reveals. I can't. But you guys will enjoy the Snyder Cut trailer. It's gonna blow you away. It won't look anything like Whedon's movie. I'm sorry for spoiling some things over the past like month and a half. So I hope that doesn't ruin things for you guys too much. And I think you'll like James Gunn's Suicide Squad trailer among the Batman teaser trailer too for Pattinson's thing. It's gonna be a lot of cool things for you guys to enjoy. But I'll be streaming some of it, yeah. Just not stuff that I really shouldn't be because I can't get any more copyright strikes. It's not fun. I don't like not being able to do this kind of stuff. I love being able to come on here and just talk to you guys, like real talk, deliver news or talk about Batman. I can't really do that on my other channel. It's not the same. You know what I mean? All right, so where's the DC Fandom event going to be? I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated about that. It's happening on August 22nd. But I will keep you up to date when it of course happens. But anyway, people, I hope you had fun. I hope I explained everything as best I could. I might have gone a little wacky and maybe didn't explain things very well. I was trying to go through... We talked about 6 or 7 different written articles about the Keaton thing. We talked about Grace's video tonight. We talked about some Twitter leakers or known Twitter people who are very good as like film contacts. We went over a lot of stuff, and I'm totally beat. But have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 11 o'clock for the beginning of the Keaton... dang it. We'll see you at 11 o'clock with the Affleck suit as we replay Arkham Knight again. All right, guys. God bless and happy gaming. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you then. Bat smoke. There's no music playing, is there?